No books are safe.
Hey guys, I'm Cameron and welcome back to my channel where we sip tea and also spill the tea as I talk about some of my favorite reads. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of talking about my favorite reads, I'm going to be talking about popular books that I do not like. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So the first book on my list is The Cruel Prince by Miss Holly Black. So before your heart cracks too much, I do want to say that I don't completely despise this book. In fact, there's a part of me that actually liked this book, but the bigger part of me that despised it won out. I've realized over time that I don't really like bullying books. I guess I just don't think it's hot whenever our male characters completely mentally and physically abuses our leading ladies. I don't know. Does that make me weird? So to give you a quick synopsis of this book, this follows our main character, Jude, who is a human girl living in a fae world, and none of the fairies like Jude because she is a human and they believe that they are better than her because of this. The cruel prince, whose name is Prince Carden, he bullies her throughout the entirety of this book. Whenever I say bullies, I mean he's not just cruel, he's mentally and physically abusive towards our main character. And that is just something that I could not get myself to like. The one thing that does save this book is our main character, Jude, because while at the beginning she does sit back and take the abuse, throughout the book our main character starts to develop a backbone, and she has the abuse that's taking place build her up to be a freaking epic protagonist. So while I could not stand reading this book half the time, the other half I spent the time cheering on Jude as she became a force to be reckoned with. I ended up getting the second book to the series. I still haven't picked it up and read it because, like I said before, I do not like Carden as the main love interest. I am still interested to see where the author takes Jude and what happens next. The second book on my list is The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. So I want to say that I was so disappointed by this book because whenever I first read the premise to it, I was so excited because I love villainesses and villains, and whenever I saw that this book was going to be about a girl trying to woo the Shadow King so that she can get married to him, become the Shadow Queen, and then kill him and take his throne, I was so excited. I had to have it. I literally ordered it off of Amazon as soon as I possibly could just so that I could get my hands on this book. And whenever I read it, my bookish heart
completely cracked.
And by the end of this book, I had to dig a grave outside my house and bury my heart and all of my bookish dreams in that grave. And you know what, guys? To this day, a part of my heart is still there because this book completely let me down, and let me tell you why. Our two main characters, Alessandra and the Shadow King, honestly, I can't even remember the Shadow King's name, and I have no desire to even open this book back up and to try to find his name again because I have bad memories. I have PTSD, and if I open this book, if I even see one sentence from this book, I'm going to get flashbacks and I'm going to have to reopen my grave and put the rest of my heart back in there once again. I can't remember the Shadow King's name because he's just not a memorable character. Alessandra and the Shadow King, their characters were completely one-dimensional. There was no depth to their story. There was no depth to their personality. It's like the author just basically got a notebook and wrote down a couple characteristic traits for them, and that was it. That was all. The other thing about this book is that it was so predictable, and that is surprising because most of the time I am freaking more blonde than brains, and I can never figure out what's going to happen in the plot. I can never guess any big plot lines. But with this book, I could pick out every single thing that was going to happen next, and nothing really surprised me. And then when we get to the romance, it wasn't fun. It wasn't something that had me at the edge of my seat. I wasn't even cheering for these characters because, like I said before, they were just completely lackluster. They had no personality, and they just bored me. And that's basically all I can say about this book, because everything else just wasn't memorable. The only thing that I can remember is just how completely I was destroyed after reading this, because I had put this on such a high pedestal. I was so excited to read it, but it just sucked. And that is all I can say about Miss Trisha Levenseller and the Shadows Between Us. The third book on my list is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. So I do want to say that I didn't hate this book. I was a little bit disappointed in it, because if you look up any romantic recommendations on YouTube, you are bound to stumble upon a Penelope Douglas book. Apparently, Miss Douglas is like the queen of smutty romance, and whenever I heard about how great her books are, I knew that I had to check out Birthday Girl. I heard that this book was about a girl who ends up having a promiscuous relationship with her boyfriend's father, and whenever I heard about that, I was just automatically expecting a huge roller coaster forbidden romance of a ride. But whenever I did start to read this, I felt more like I was on one of those trains that you see in the theme park, just something that is slow and just a little bit boring, but at the same time, like, you know, you enjoy the train ride, but it's just not as fun as being on the roller coaster. And that is the type of feelings and vibes that I was getting from Birthday Girl. So like I said, there wasn't anything wrong with this relationship and with this book. It's just that whenever I started to read it, I came in expecting a very big forbidden romance of sorts. And I just feel like the author could have done so much more with this affair. She could have caused so much more drama, and I feel like she just missed the mark. Another thing that I want to say was that I thought that the relationship between the two characters was going to be something very fun and exciting. But whenever I saw the relationship progress, it was just very boring. They didn't ever do anything really exciting. They just sat around the house and watched movies all day. The most exciting thing that they did in this book was go mudding. That says it all. I came in to this book with high hopes and with a lot of excitement, and I was just delivered something that just wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about Birthday Girl. The fourth book on my list is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So just like the other books, I was excited going into this series. This is about a girl who lives in a village where every few years the village presents this man known as the Dragon. They present him an offering in the form of a female sacrifice who will go and live with him in his castle and do God knows what. It's a mystery to all these people. But the reason why they do that is because in this world, the dragon has some type of magical powers, and he helps protect the village from people and creatures who could do them harm. And so our main character, what's her name? Agnieszka? I don't know how to pronounce her name, so from here on out, we're just gonna call her Aggie. Our girl Aggie, she ends up getting picked by the dragon to live with him in his castle, and she is completely surprised because apparently there was another girl, her best friend, who is so much more beautiful than her, so much more stronger, and I guess just more attractive. I don't know, but everybody thought that her best friend was going to be picked, but you know, Aggie ends up getting picked instead. She ends up on the chopping block. So the thing that I did not like about this book is that it also had a bullying element in the same way that The Cruel Prince has that element as well. Whereas in The Cruel Prince, I really adored Jude and the way that she fought against the bullies and she just completely stood up for herself. Our girl Aggie did not do that. She was somebody who she craved the affection of the dragon, and while she was living with him in his castle, he was just so abusive towards her. He was literally every bit the dragon that his namesake would entail him to be. He was just so cruel to her every chance that he got, and Aggie would just sit there and take it. And after he would be so cruel to her, she would sink down into herself and think about everything that she has ever done wrong and thinking about what she could do to make him like her, and I just could not take that. It was actually starting to depress me, and I don't know, like, I couldn't keep on reading this book. I actually ended up DNFing this book at about page 50 because I could not handle this relationship that was being built between these two characters. Now, I do know that this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so our main hero, our main male character, he's not supposed to be a nice guy. He's supposed to be every bit of a jerk. But while I was reading this book, I could not find anything redeeming about him at all, and I just could not get myself to read this. I had no desire to keep on reading this to get to the part where he starts to become a nicer man. Like, I don't know, I couldn't take it. I didn't like it, so that is why it is on this list. Fifth and final book is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but we're just gonna roll with it, okay? Whenever I saw this book for the first time in my bookstore at Barnes & Noble, I completely fell in love with it. Whenever my eyes took in the beauty of this cover, I was completely taken aback. My heart stopped beating and I just lost all conscious thought. I just knew in that moment that I had to pick this book up. I had to hold it in my hands and I had to buy it because the book gods fated us to be together. But little did I know that in this book, the beauty is only in the outside, because everything that is in the inside of this book is just pure and utter boring torture, and it completely shattered my heart whenever I read this. I'm still mourning the loss of this relationship that could have been so beautiful but completely sucked. So to give you a quick synopsis of this book, this follows our girl Kath, who just started going to a new college, and she is a bookish college girl by day, but by night she is one of the most popular fan fiction writers on the internet. And guys, let me tell you, when I heard that this book was going to be about a girl who secretly writes fan fiction, oh my gosh, I was just so excited to read this because, you know, while some people like superheroes like Batman and Robin who go out and save little cute kittens from trees, and they save adorable babies from burning buildings. My type of a superhero are secret fan fiction writers. So now combine that epic synopsis with this beautiful cover. Let's just say I was over the moon to read this book. But whenever I read it, it just did not hit the mark. Now, the reason why I didn't like this book was I just felt like Kath was a very one-dimensional character. I felt like her whole personality was dull, and I wanted so badly to like her and to look forward to what was happening next in this book, but I just could not get myself to enjoy our main protagonist. And that is what really just destroyed this book, in my opinion. But I do want to say that while our main protagonist put me in a constant state of cloudy depression, there was a few moments of sunshine, and that is in the form of our leading male, whose name is Levi. So I absolutely adored Levi. I loved his witty and charming personality. He's really what brought life to this book. At the same time, while I wanted him to be my knight in shining armor, he just could not carry the story for me. And that's just because throughout this whole book, we were stuck in the head of Kath, and I just could not get myself to really even care about what was going on with Kath, because she was completely dull and her character was just not fun. It was not enjoyable to be inside her head. And at the end of the day, that's what I didn't like about this book. So to sum it all up, while I did like reading the fan fiction that she wrote, that could not save this book for me. That's all I can say about this. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that I did not completely put you in a state of depression as I talked trash about your favorite reads. Nevertheless, if you did happen to like this video, then be sure to smash that like button and to subscribe, because I post new videos every week. And let me know down in the comments below, what are some books that you didn't like? And were any of those mentioned in this list? So yes, as always, I hope that you have an amazing day, and yeah, thank you for watching. Mwah.